Welcome back. This is update for September 4th. I am still in Mackinaw City, Michigan, and today I toured Mackinaw Island. Well, the day started off as normal with my exercises, my morning routine, and I caught the 7:30 a.m. bus, not bus, but ferry over to Mackinaw Island. Now, Mackinaw Island's a rather interesting place. It does not allow motorized vehicles, and so the only way you get around is either by horse and buggy, or saddle horses, or bicycles, or by foot. And so it's kind of a unique area. And so my first agenda item was to go and tour Fort Mackinaw. And that tour started about 9:30 in the morning. I spent about almost 3 hours there. It was pretty darn interesting. It's a living museum, and they have some different demonstrations with firing the cannons, things of that nature. One of the characters, his name was Maverick, and actually Maverick Sharp, actually, and he gave a rifle demonstration of their modern firearm of the time. And then I hung out with Isaac, who was another interpreter, another docent, dressed in uniform, of course, and he gave me a 50-minute lesson on the history of the fort, and it's quite interesting. Actually, Mackinaw Island has been a meeting place for centuries. The indigenous persons used to meet there to for gatherings, for trading, for meeting relatives, meeting friends, and things of that nature. So it's been a meeting place for centuries and centuries and centuries. And then after the indigenous people, or during the same time, the French came along and they began to kind of occupy it a little bit, but not really strong. And then the British came along and put in the fort, because that way they're protecting the fur trade. The whole reason the fort was there really was to protect the fur trade and to give justification for taxing the furs. And so that was really interesting. Then the next stop I made was up at Fort Holmes. Fort Holmes is a fort that's built at the very top, the highest part of Mackinaw Island. And Fort Holmes was not originally there. The British finally, they realized that Fort Mackinaw was exposed because of that high ground, and so they built Fort Holmes, which actually they called it Fort Edward, after their king. And they held that for until 1812 is when they built it. 1814, the Americans attempted to take it back. They weren't successful. Then in 1815, they attempted again, and they were successful, but they didn't have it very long, because on July 17th in 1815, the British snuck around in the backside of the island where the Americans couldn't see it. They snuck onto the island during the evening, brought their cannon up to the top of the hill, and aimed it down onto the fort. They had all their soldiers lined up, ready to go. When the Americans woke up, and they looked up the hill and they saw, I think we're kind of surrounded. So they surrendered right away. The British took it back. So Fort Holmes is quite interesting. There's going to be a whole section on that once I put this video together. After I left there, I toured the Grand Hotel's buggy barn, which is quite interesting. It has all kinds of different buggies in there in fabulous condition. Everything's well maintained. The horses were in there. It was just beautiful, beautiful place. Then I moseyed my way over to the Grand Hotel and wandered around it a little bit, sat on the promenade, and enjoyed a just beautiful afternoon overlooking the water. And so with that, I headed down back into town and toured the Brittle House, which is one of the original merchants of the area, and there's quite a history about that. And I'll have a more in-depth discussion about the Brittle House and the livery stable, or the livery of the blacksmith in that area. So headed on home, caught the I think it was like the 4 o'clock ferry, 5 o'clock ferry, something like that. Came home, unpacked everything, went out for dinner. Found myself a nice restaurant had whitefish, which is something that they have out here. Of course it's a whitefish, and the meat is white. It's not a real strong fishy flavor at all. It was quite yummy, and I topped that off with banana cream pie. It was so good. So that's pretty much the day I had today. Pretty uneventful. Weather was great, sunny all day. It's fantastic, fantastic day. So thanks for tuning in. May all your seas be calm. And if you already haven't, please subscribe, like and subscribe. And if you don't know, when you subscribe, you got that little bell. Click on that. Every time I upload a video, you're going to hear about it. So thanks for tuning in. Take care.